On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. One of the things that was most amazing about World War II and the concentration camps and Hitler, and go with me for 1 second, was Hitler was a horrible man. He was an evil man. And there's always been evil men on this planet. So that was horrific. But the thing that was actually telling, the thing that was actually powerful, the thing that really spoke to the true state of humanity was how many people supported Hitler. Now today is kind of the same situation. I know right now Trump is being painted as Hitler by a lot of people, certainly, right? I think some country just put an article out or something that they're portraying him as. I think it was Iran. And so, I get it. They're portraying him. But when you really look back at the behaviors of what were happening during that time and what's happening right now and who's doing what, best I can tell, there's a lot of people right now that are trying to restrict what you're allowed to talk about. They're censoring us. Don't want you talking about stuff. It's dangerous. It's crazy. You shouldn't say that stuff. Who knows what sort of bad things you can do. All the major companies right now are truly actively censoring people. There's certain topics you can't talk about, you can talk about. Got to be careful how you talk about. There's attacks of peaceful people, peacefully protesting for that matter, that have gotten harmed. We've got plenty of newscasters that have gotten harmed. Certainly a lot of police that have gotten harmed. And there's a lot of discussion about defunding police, yet while there's a major crime spree. All these places where this rioting has occurred and the police have been spread thin, and even to some cases, and I've got some examples, of where police don't even make calls anymore to houses. They stop showing up altogether, unless it's a major violent crime, not showing up. So that's the world that they're asking for. And the places that it seems to be happening, oddly, is Democrat-controlled cities. It just works out that way. But you got Democrat-controlled cities that have policing problems, that have major deficit problems, and have very angry people. Doesn't seem to be happening as much in the other places. You had San Antonio in Texas, straight up George Bush Jr., don't know why it was him, but whatever. He's basically like, don't mess with the Alamo. And believe me, there is a mess of people that have made it next to impossible to mess with the Alamo. Different ways of handling, different strokes for different folks, as they say. We've got internal destruction of our infrastructure. Cities are actually being destroyed, damaged from the inside. Infrastructure that has to be replaced or won't be. And so now we've got downtowns, and even Manhattan for that matter. Now granted, that's going to get fixed, but we've got downtown areas, boarded up windows, no merchandise whatsoever. And most likely, a lot of these businesses aren't necessarily going to go back in. You've got truck drivers that are saying, you defund the police, and we're not going in to deliver stuff because, of course, we've seen what happens to truck drivers. God, for those of us that are a little older, Reginald Denny, back in the wonderful days of the 92 riots here in LA, guy got pulled out of his truck and just had a brick slammed against his head, and he doesn't talk the same anymore. So truck drivers are like, no, we're not going to do it. Not going to do it. I don't care it. That's just not happening. So let me just step back from that. All right, so now we've defunded, we've killed infrastructure. Now we've actually made it where we won't bring supplies into some major cities, Democrat-controlled ones for that matter, for the most part, because I don't think the Republican-controlled ones are allowing this behavior. They're probably, possibly, maybe using stronger force. We can debate whether that's acceptable or not. Certainly don't think the chokeholds are good. What happened to Floyd is certainly not okay. This unnecessary violence is not okay. But on that same side, we've got some interesting scenarios there where when you look at the old man, for example, at first, the guy that fell down with the blood in his ear and all this horrible, the cops got fired and all this. Well, when you actually look at the video in context, he walks up and does a scanner over the first police officer's mic, then goes over the other guy's actual radio with the scanner. He's got his phone on his phone out. He's scanning them to get the frequencies so he could monitor and or control or do some other nefarious things. First cop had no idea what was happening. The second cop realized what was happening and pushed him away, and that's where I think he kind of over-dramatized and maybe hurt himself in the process. But again, bad situation. We've got another one. They burned down a Wendy's And I'm not saying any of this violence is okay, but when you've got an individual that was drunk in his car, passed out after eating, so I don't know how you got here. I haven't seen you operate your vehicle, but you're currently drunk. I check you, I sobriety test you, you're drunk, I try to arrest you because of it. I get there's a lot of fear around it getting arrested, but this is a pretty peaceful arrest. This isn't like you were a violent criminal, right? It wasn't like you had a fake 20, being sarcastic, that's mean, too soon, I know. It was a sense of they wanted to make sure he didn't drive his car home. That was the alternative, right? Let him go free, and then he hops in his car and potentially kills someone because he's still drunk? I mean, that's not an option. So the only thing the cop can do is arrest him. The guy gets in a fight, beats up a cop, takes his stun gun, runs away, turns back, and fires towards the cop's face that was 10 feet away. That dude goes off to the side, pulls his gun. The guy got shot. Like, again, the whole story is messed up. What's happening in the world right now? Violence is not good, but it's begetting more violence. So what happens when you literally get to the point where truck drivers don't come in, infrastructure isn't rebuilt, and you just have these desolate downtowns that are wastelands? Kind of what Detroit had become, right? Once you pulled all the manufacturing out. Thanks, Obama. Once all that happened, look at Detroit. Ghost town. Messed up city. Believe it's also Democrat run. Just saying. So we're heading towards this weird place where there's this push to, one, cause criminal rioting, to cause fighting amongst ourselves, to, I think, try to get it to spread, because once they've burnt down their towns, what else are they going to do? The protest didn't work. You still won't do what we say. Well, we got to burn down the neighboring town. So where does this stop? Who's actually going to step in? Now, a lot of you are like, why doesn't Q and Trump just put a stop to it? They kind of are and kind of aren't. They can't, really, right? Because if Trump rolls up his sleeves, sends in the National Guard, they go, ha-ha, you're a dictator. You can't do it. He can't. And he shouldn't, frankly. The way that the structure's set up, you have mayors and governors and all this stuff, they're supposed to handle these issues. And so what's happening is much like World War II. We're the people that are watching this crazy man talk about crazy stuff and let's blame, blame, blame. And a lot of them were like, yeah. So how many of us are actually going to watch these leaders and go, yeah, versus go, what are you doing? How many of us are going to use our consciousness to vote, to use our consciousness to potentially move, not move, move businesses? I don't know. I don't know what happens. But there needs to be a transition, and we do need to improve the world, but this approach to destroy everything in the wake is not an acceptable approach. Now, many are saying, well, it's Trump, it's Trump, it's Trump, it's Trump. You know what? It's not. Let me show you why. In India and China, there's a little bit of separated land. Chinese forces just killed 3 Indian troops. Escalation. There's an escalation happening while all this pandemic stuff's going on. We've got China making moves against India, nonetheless. The 2 largest populations on the planet, and opposing. India's very much our ally, and China's very much not. And it's 2 very large, nuclear capable, militarily capable countries that both have a lot of people. Did I mention that a few times? They're attacking each other. Okay. That's probably Trump's fault too. I got you. Okay, in South Korea, they're actually warning about this little border town thing going on, and South Korea is like, hey, you better not blow up that the liaison office. You better not do it. Well, guess what? And first off, if you say, like, if I'm an evil dictator and I'm doing stupid stuff to piss off another country, and that other country goes, oh, you better not flip me off, right? Like, that's the first thing I'm going to do. Like, I wouldn't even think twice about it. But yeah, liaison office, it got burnt. Okay, so North Korea, South Korea, ruffling feathers. Something's not happening there in a good way. Christian statues in Europe, targeted for vandalism in the name of pagan justice. They'll take down the pagan ones too, watch. Yeah, we've got all sorts of statues in Germany and other places. Germany, Merkel, one of the other deep state countries. Now, it's not really a Democrat-Republican thing here in the United States. I really, really want to emphasize that, though it is conveniently that way. But if you look at a lot of the Democrat people that are causing problems, they are deep state actors in a major way, and you don't end up in charge of the stuff that you're in charge of unless you're willing to sacrifice your soul to an extent. So, all right, okay, well, Trump is a Christian, right? So, okay, that's probably his fault too. Okay. Well, Farage in Breitbart here. Farage is the dude in England in charge over there. I've never seen so many people scared to say what they think. Huh, weird. They've got this weird censorship thing going on in England as well. But let's be honest. Trump's talked to Farage before. So, okay, it's Trump's fault. You're right. I think the point's coming down to so many of us right now are at that place where we're watching this happen. Now, many of us are already awake. Many of us already see what's happening. Many of us have already decided that we're kind of on the side of good, freedom, whatever. I mean, I hate to kind of make it sound like that. But there's a segment of the population that's awakening. There's a segment of the population that's starting to see it. There's this segment of the population that could probably likely is Democrat. And they're starting to see what their own leaders are doing and starting to question it. Literally, that's how the awakening process works. All it takes is a couple questions and a little bit of research, and you'll start to uncover and unravel the mess that we have before us. So sometimes karma strikes, and I'm sorry. I really am. I'm very sorry that you've lost your father. But at the same time, we all have to answer to our decisions. But a Supreme Court reinterpretation of the federal prohibition against employment discrimination based on sex, which now includes sexual orientation and gender identity, they're saying it's going to create a new tsunami of new litigation against religious organizations. And if you think about it, a lot of religious organizations do not choose to hire people based off of any number of things. Now, how you prove that it's because of your sexuality, I don't know, but the fact that you could get someone that's very wealthy and of an alternative sex or willing to do pro bono work and just start suing a lot of these smaller churches. And if you look to see what kind of damage you could do to a small church. And I don't know, is there any separation of church and state when it comes to that kind of stuff? And I'm not saying it's necessarily okay. I remember the Chick-fil-A sandwich chain went through some stuff. So I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go, but again, just bringing it to your attention. This is kind of interesting in a bad way, and this just ties into, again, the way that we've got some of these cities of deep state leaders who are intentionally choosing to be so unsupportive of their own police officers that in reality are probably going to inspire many police officers to quit. And that's honestly the one thing I'm going to predict over the next month. I would expect the number of officers that choose retirement, quitting, whichever, to probably be a rather high number. And I can imagine so many people like, oh, goody. And then it's the rest of the people that when someone's burning down your business or when someone's at your house insisting you give them everything you want, even though you were just out looting, but they followed you home with your 5 flat screens and decided to rob you, and now you want to call the cops to protect your stuff. What are you going to do? First off, it's not your stuff. Second off, karma, right? It's a B, I'm telling you. But yeah, some cops got fed some bad stuff, sickened by Shake Shack milkshakes, which is really sad because Shake Shack's an awesome place. But if you're a cop, obviously, you got to be real careful where you're going if you're going to fast food, man. If you got a wife, get her to pack you lunch, please. Please. And if not, I don't know, you're out in the middle of the street. I hope you guys have something worked out because this is sad. This is where we're at. We've got vigilante justice happening. Vigilante justice against the man. Vigilante justice against everything that kind of represents an organized society. Favoring a disorganized society. Disorganized societies don't usually work out well, or they tend to be ruled by the people with the biggest guns. And that's kind of what's happening in Seattle, isn't it? It's kind of funny. But yeah, 3 NYPD officers were hospitalized after these milkshakes were potentially contaminated. No charges. No. Nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly okay. Interestingly, San Francisco, Pelosi's area where she lives, will no longer respond to non-criminal calls. I mean, they'd probably barely respond to criminal ones, too. It's already happening, folks. Again, in the deep state towns. How long is it going to take people to see what this leader's doing? How long did Hitler keep going before suddenly people said, whoa, you know what? Wait a minute. He's killed a lot of people, like millions. I wonder if we should do something about it. That's where we are. Got a lot of people that are just sitting on the fence, eating popcorn, going, this is awesome. Whoa, that almost hurt me. Oh, they're trying to burn my neighbor's house. Hey, whoa, please, I need you. Where? Hey, no. Oh, I guess they're gone. Fortunately, we don't have guns either. I've got a rock. Yeah, good luck, man. Good luck. San Francisco. Another. Major U.S. cities rocked with cold-blooded murders amid violent left-wing riots that have injured hundreds of cops and others, and protesters, and people of color. All sorts of people that are getting hurt that you probably don't want to get hurt. Now, depending on who you are and what you are, you might like some of this. Personally, don't like violence. Not real fond of violence at all. Love. One of the things I liked about Trump is he said he was going to pull people out of the wars, the endless wars we're in. Yes, thank you, sir. And he's been doing it. He's even pulling down our troops in Germany. So, I mean, of course, that's a reason to hate him. Don't get me wrong. Germany's deadbeat. I'm sure France is probably mad at us too. You shouldn't do that to Germany, right? Even though they've got some history. France. Don't get me started. Sorry, that was inappropriate. I shouldn't even go there. But yeah, all these protests are happening, and we've got St. Louis, Chicago, New York. These are a few of my deep state places. Yeah. Lumerd, I don't even know, I've never even heard of this site, but whatever. Portland Antifa leader, it was kind of interesting, shows up in the Seattle Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. This dude, someone said he's got him in an armbar. That doesn't really look like a real armbar. Doesn't an armbar go around the neck? Anyway, I don't know. I'm not a dude, but I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, and I've watched a number of his things, and that just doesn't, I mean, maybe it's an armbar on an arm. I don't know. I'm not the wrong person to talk about. I probably shouldn't have said anything, but whatever. But yeah, this dude shows up. He even talks. He's got all sorts of great little quotes down here. The only time that we are heard is when we burn S down. If white America doesn't want to get right, they're going to see more burning, more looting. The jails are filled with people that look like me, not that look like you. Your kids are going to college. My kids are going to jail because they're brown and they are suspects walking down their own effing streets. I'm from Portland. And I love what's going on here in Seattle, and I stand in solidarity. But I don't agree with everything, Marquez says, because he's got standards. But yeah, he does basically the interview here where he says all that stuff. I'm not going to play it. I mean, again, this is what's happening. We've got a mayor in deep state town Seattle that just said, hey, this is okay. Now, do we drop a nuke on there? No. I mean, do we just rein in with military? No, there's probably a better approach because, again, it's a touchy subject now, right? It's a touchy subject now. Certainly allowing these guys to expand, completely off limits, in my mind. Like, no, not even one building. And just literally just line the place with cops if you have to. But, again, we're at a place. And, again, it's Seattle, so who knows what they're going to do. My older brother lives up there. Personally, no, he's majorly packing. And he's heavily on the left, which is kind of cool. He's, in my opinion, he's one of the ones I'm hoping is waking up right now going, what are they doing? Pretty sure he is. I'm pretty sure he's looking at his own mayor going, I mean, he doesn't live in Seattle proper, but still. So things are changing, folks. Things are changing. We're at this place where people have to wake up. We're at this place where people have to see it. They're never going to do something different unless they realize what's happening. The deep state's making their push. Trump is here to protect us the best he can. He's got things blocked in the Senate. Can you imagine the crazy laws they'd be passing right now? For the most part, he's protected us. But what this comes down to is you and me. You and me. What are we doing? What are we doing? Are you doing anything? Am I doing anything? I'll tell you what, I finally broke across channel. I'm hoping to help. I have a radio background. Like, this is the best thing I can do is just stand on a thing and yell and hopefully get some people's attention. We have to do our parts. We have to see what we can. We have to find our friends that are waking up and start having soft discussions with them. We have to learn how to have soft discussions with people. We have to learn how to touch into a touchy area, get a conversation started, and see if we can start to unravel some of the myths that the left has built up around the deep state. The deep state has a powerful machine called the mainstream media, but many people are waking up to that joke, that farce. So let's pay attention to what is happening. Let's do our part to the best we can. Let's certainly protect our neighborhoods. And let's do the best we can to be understanding that these are asleep people. Some are rabble rousers. Like, we'll deal with them later. They're, the further left it goes, okay, we'll get to that later. Well, I'm worried more about the people that are kind of in that middle ground. Let's focus on them. Don't waste your energies pointing at the left. No. Let's find the middle ground people. Let's see who we can help. Let's see who we can befriend. Let's make a difference. This has to be you and me that does this. It's not Trump. It's not Pelosi. It's not Schumer. None of those buggers are going to help us. This is the people. Fortunately, Trump's protecting us the best he can from the onslaught of the deep state. But he can't just rain troops in. He can't. You have to understand that. So what are we doing? And that's really the key. That's what we need to remember. Q's dark right now. I don't think we got anything new. We'll just do a quick double check, make sure nothing popped in. Well, yeah, 4474 is last. So again, this picture just seems oddly appropriate right now. Okay? And this should say deep state, really, above it. And the deep state's fallen. And CNN, MSNBC, CBS, NBC, Mayor of New York, Governor of New York, Mayor of Seattle, right? All of those are just additional beams trying to hold this deep state from falling over. It's falling over, folks. Eventually, those things are going to punch right through the wall, and it's just coming down. You know it. I know it. It's happening. Do your part. Let's do our part peacefully. Let's do our part respectfully. Let's be the bigger people, because we are. We're standing on the side of right, but we don't want to dip down to their level of wrong. We cannot solve these problems today with the same level of thinking that we created them with. Einstein's quote. We need to elevate ourselves, and that's what the bigger person must do. When the child's misbehaving, do you dip down and throw a tantrum just to see if you can make the kid look at you and go, what are you doing? Or do you understand that it's a child being a child and you handle it as such? You become the adult. You step up. That's what we need to do. Hopefully, if you guys like the work I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please hit the bell icon if you'd like to know when I put out new videos. I've got a PayPal link below if for some reason you want to donate money to me, which I love and I appreciate, but I don't like asking, and that's why it's the end of the video. You're already gone probably, right? But I appreciate all of you guys. I love you guys. We've got more videos coming. More crazy stuff's going to start happening. This is really the time for us to step up to the plate and make a difference in our own communities, in our own families. You've got that person you're fighting with. Put your sword down for a second. Put your sword down for a second. Let's talk. Let's have a dialogue. Let's see if we can start to make some changes rather than this ridiculousness that things are spinning into. Maybe it has to. I don't know. I mean, I'm watching the show to best of my ability as well. But we have to be the upper hand. Even with my folks, my family, I got to be the one that's like, all right, I can't call them all the names that are screaming in my head right now. I got to understand that they think I'm nuts. They think I'm crazy because I like Trump. They think I'm a misogynist and a race. Even though 6 months ago, before they knew anything, they didn't think any of that. But since I'm not anti-Trump, I'm obviously all those things that they relate to. It's silly, the logic, but it seems to be happening. It's very interesting. It's weird times. I love you guys. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.